My sister ruined my life, and everyone let her, so I had to do something. I used to think sibling rivalry was normal, that every family had a golden child and a backup kid. But looking back now, I realize it wasn't rivalry. It was warfare, and my little sister, Lily, was winning from the day she was born. I'm 2 years older than her. When we were kids, my parents made it very clear that Lily could do no wrong. If I got an A, Lily's B was still impressive for her age. If I cleaned my room, Mom would say, "Why can't you help your sister with hers?" If we fought, it was always my fault. Because, and I quote, "You're older, you should know better." You start to believe it after a while, that you're the problem. By the time we hit middle school, Lily had already perfected her act. She was the sweet, innocent, angelic younger sister in front of everyone else, teachers, neighbors, even my friends. But when the door closed at home, she'd twist the knife. She'd accidentally tell my crush embarrassing stories about me. She'd borrow my clothes without asking, then ruin them, and say I gave them to her. Once, she took my diary and read it out loud to her friends while I was in the next room. And the worst part? When I finally yelled at her, I was the one who got grounded for bullying her. That's when I realized she wasn't just spoiled. She was smart, manipulative, in that quiet, careful way only a golden child can be. Fast forward to high school. I started dating this guy named Jason. Sweet, shy, the kind of guy who wrote notes instead of texts. For once, I felt like I had something Lily couldn't take from me. Until, of course, she did. One afternoon, Jason came over to study. Lily was just hanging around, making jokes, acting like the cute little sister. When I went to make snacks, I came back to find her sitting next to him on the couch, laughing, touching his arm. I brushed it off and tried to trust them both. But a week later, Jason started acting distant. By the next week, he broke up with me. No explanation, just that classic, "It's not you, it's me." A month later, I saw him at the mall, holding hands with Lily. She looked at me, smiled, and said, "You should have treated him better." I wanted to scream, but my parents, they said, "You can't control who people like. Don't make a scene." So I didn't. I buried it. Just another secret to add to the pile. By college, I'd moved across the country just to get away from her. I built a life for myself, new friends, new job, new everything. I thought I'd escape, but Lily had a way of finding me. She started dating one of my college friends after visiting for the holidays. Then she inserted herself into my friend group, acting like she'd always belonged there. And somehow, everyone loved her. The same charm that fooled my parents worked on everyone else too. If I tried to explain, I sounded jealous. If I stayed quiet, she kept winning. So I learned to live with it, to keep my distance, to tell myself I was over it, until years later, when I got the best job of my life. A promotion that finally felt like all my hard work was paying off. New apartment, new city, new peace. And then, guess who moved in temporarily after her own breakup? Yep, Lily. She was a mess, as my parents put it. They begged me to help her. Be a good sister, they said. She just needs time to get back on her feet. So I said yes. Because apparently, I still hadn't learned my lesson. At first, she played the part perfectly, grateful, quiet, helpful. But within weeks, the pattern started again. She used my things without asking. She flirted with my coworkers when she met them. And she started telling little lies, things that didn't even make sense. Like, "Oh, she's been so stressed at work. She cries every night," or "She's been talking about quitting." I didn't think much of it until my boss started acting strange. Meetings without me, projects reassigned. One day, my login didn't work. I walked into the office, and HR was waiting for me. Apparently, someone had sent inappropriate emails from my account. Confidential files had been leaked. They showed me the proof, screenshots, emails I supposedly sent to a competitor. Except they weren't from me. They were from my laptop, the one that Lily borrowed all the time. I didn't even know what to say. I lost my job that day. And when I came home, she was sitting on the couch, eating cereal, watching TV. She looked up, saw my face, and said, "Rough day?" That's when it hit me. This wasn't bad luck. This was her. It had always been her, and for the first time in my life, I decided I wasn't going to let her win. That night after I lost my job, I sat in my car for over an hour. No music, no calls, no crying, just silence. You know that kind of quiet that feels too loud? That was it. Because I finally understood something I'd been avoiding for years. Lily didn't just ruin things. She planned them, and the worst part, she was good at it. My entire life, she'd gotten away with everything because she knew exactly how to play the victim. And I, the jealous older sister, was always the bad guy for even noticing. But not this time. This time, I was done being predictable. The first step was pretending nothing had changed. I walked into our apartment like everything was fine. I even smiled, asked her how her day was. She smirked, like she knew something I didn't. That's when I realized she thought she'd won. And when people think they've won, they get sloppy. So I let her. For the next 2 weeks, I acted normal. I kept my head down, said I was figuring out what's next, and let her enjoy her fake sympathy. Meanwhile, I was busy setting traps. First, I installed a monitoring app on my laptop, the same one she'd used to borrow for Netflix and job hunting. It tracked logins, screenshots, and keystrokes, completely invisible. Next, I bought a small nanny cam disguised as a plant. I placed it right on the shelf next to the Wi-Fi router. It had motion detection and saved everything to the cloud. And finally, I set up a fake job interview. I created a mock email address that looked like it belonged to a big company and sent myself a fake offer letter, the kind of thing Lily couldn't resist sabotaging. I even printed it out and left it sitting halfway out of my purse one morning before heading out. Then, I waited. 3 days later, the trap sprung. I got an alert on my phone. New screenshots from my laptop. Someone had accessed my email again and forwarded the fake offer letter to another address. Guess whose? Lily's. But that wasn't the best part. The nanny cam caught her doing it, clear as day. Sneaking into my room, opening my laptop, typing fast, smirking at the screen. I could practically hear the narration in my head. And that's when she didn't realize she just destroyed herself. I didn't confront her right away. No, I wanted the full picture first, so I went through the last month of recordings, and what I found made my skin crawl. She'd been copying my passwords, reading my texts, even mocking me to her friends over speakerphone, calling me pathetic for still trying to outshine her. It wasn't just jealousy, it was obsession. I remember sitting there watching those clips and realizing I'd spent my whole life thinking she was just selfish. But this was calculated. She wanted to be me, but only after destroying me first. That night, I made my move. I sent an anonymous email to my old HR department. I included the screenshots, timestamps, and video clips. Everything. Within a week, they reopened the investigation. Turns out, those leaked emails had actually been sent from my home IP address, something I'd told them from day one. But now I could prove who did it. They didn't tell Lily right away. They let her think she got away with it, just like I did. And then, one morning, while she was sitting at the kitchen counter eating my cereal again, there was a knock on the door. Two men in suits, IT and legal from my old company. They asked for me, but then one of them turned to her and said, "Lily last name. We'd like to ask you a few questions about your recent activity involving company correspondence." The color drained from her face. She tried to laugh it off, said she didn't know what they were talking about, but I could tell she was panicking. I just stood there, calm, quiet, watching, and for the first time in my life, she was the one explaining herself. After they left, she turned on me. "What did you do?" she screamed. "You're trying to ruin my life." I just stared at her. Then I said, "You've been ruining mine since we were kids." "I'm just finally returning the favor with proof." She froze. That smile she always wore, that smug, golden child confidence, disappeared completely. She packed a bag that night and left. I didn't stop her. A week later, my company called me back. They formally apologized, offered me my job again, this time with back pay and a public statement clearing my name. But I didn't go back right away. I needed to breathe first. Because even though I'd finally won, it didn't feel like victory yet. It felt like standing in the ruins of a battlefield that had taken my whole childhood to build. Still, I wasn't done. Because if there's one thing I'd learned from Lily, it's that people only believe the truth when they see it for themselves. So I decided to show them, my parents, my family. Everyone who'd ever said, "Be nice to your sister," and what came next, made every year of pain worth it. A week after Lily stormed out, the apartment was quiet in a way I hadn't heard since she'd moved in. No perfume in the hallway, no fake laughter on speakerphone. Just silence, peaceful, earned silence. But peace doesn't last long when the rest of your family still thinks you're the villain. Because the moment Lily's story started to unravel, she went back to doing what she always did best, playing the victim. Within days, my parents were calling nonstop. "What did you say to her? Why would you embarrass your sister like that? She told us you set her up." Of course she did. And for the first time in my life, I didn't argue. I just said, "If you really want to know what happened, come over Sunday. Bring whoever you want." And they did. Mom, Dad, a few family friends, even our Aunt Hootie always said Lily could talk her way out of a murder charge. I had them all sit in the living room. I plugged my laptop into the TV, opened a folder labeled The Truth. One by one, I played the clips. Lily sneaking into my room. Lily sending fake emails. Lily bragging on the phone about getting me out of the way. No commentary. No speeches, just evidence. By the second clip, the room was dead silent. By the third, my mom was crying. By the fourth, my dad looked like he'd swallowed nails. When it ended, I said, "That's who you've been protecting all these years." No one spoke for a full minute. Then my mom whispered, "I didn't know." I just nodded. Because of course she didn't. Lily made sure of that. They left quietly that night. No apologies. Just shock. And for once, I didn't chase their approval. I didn't need it anymore. A few days later, I posted my own account online. Not naming names, just the truth, how family favoritism can turn into lifelong manipulation. It wasn't about revenge anymore. It was about closure. The post went viral. People shared their own stories, saying, "I had a Lily too. For the first time, I felt seen." Lily tried to fight back, of course. He sent me a long message saying I'd ruined her reputation. I didn't reply. Because reputations built on lies don't need help falling apart. Within a month, she moved in with a friend in another city. Our parents stopped taking sides. They started asking me for advice, me for updates, and every time, I could tell they were trying to make up for lost years. It didn't erase the past, but it was a start. Now, years later, I still get people asking, was it worth it? Exposing her like that, and the answer is complicated. It didn't feel like victory. It felt like release. Because I realized something important. Lily spent her whole life needing attention. But peace, real peace, is quiet. It doesn't need an audience. I rebuilt everything she tried to take from me. New career, real friends, a home that feels safe. Sometimes I still get texts from her, short, hollow apologies or passive-aggressive quotes. I don't respond. Forgiveness doesn't always mean reconciliation. Sometimes it just means you stop letting the fire she lit keep you warm. For years she was the golden child, and I was the shadow. But shadows only exist when there's light. And once I stepped into mine, she couldn't hide anymore. So, to anyone listening who's got their own Lily, the jealous sibling, the manipulative friend, the person who keeps taking until there's nothing left, remember this: you don't have to match their chaos. You just have to outlast it, because the truth always survives the noise.